Hello, and you're listening to FPcast, the podcast for fruitless pursuits where we bullshit about the week in pop culture. I'm Luke.
And I'm Jacinta.
And this week, we're talking about...
Movies, television, collectibles, video games, comics, books, board games, and more.
Strings.
an unspecified number of strings. I know you think that the whole strings thing's pretty clear-cut, but I think that it's very much open to interpretation based on your definition of what constitutes a string. When does a part of the body stop being the person and become a discarded item? You know, am I my discarded fingernail behind the couch? I'm not sure I am.
This and other discussions coming up today in FPcast.
Because we watched Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yes.
Not Cujo and the Two Strings, which would be the rabid dog of the 80s Stephen King film. But which would have been an interesting take on the subject matter. But we watched Kubo and the Two Strings, and we'll be reviewing that one later in the show and possibly having an official recount of the strings.
Or, yes,
Certainly
there's a discussion about what constitutes a string.
Certainly encouraging you to keep your eyes open. Don't blink, as the protagonist might say.
Yes.
And keep an eye on the number of strings.
Yes, because as it does tell us at the start of the film, if you do blink, then your hero might die. So it's basically on you.
Yeah, and I just feel like... I don't want to make a huge deal about the strings.
Even though it's in the title of the movie, so there's a fair focus on them.
I felt, not that we were shortchanged a string, although you did convince me as well that's a real possibility. I thought we might have had an extra string than advertised. Either way, I just think Australia are very focused on consumer rights. We do have a lot of rights as a consumer, and I just think...
because there used to be those things on DVDs and before VHSs, like, it was not, did you get what you paid for?
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. And whether that's under or over... I don't know, but it's just like advertise the correct thing. And I'm just saying there might be grounds for somebody to take their ticket.
There's some wiggle room.
Especially if it's written clearly on your ticket.
Yeah.
Maybe highlight the relevant bit about the number of strings, take it up there, and look, at the worst, you might get a small popcorn.
Yeah, I feel like movie tickets these days, because they're so, like, small, I feel like a movie ticket would sort of just say Kubo and the...
Could do, yeah.
And that would be it.
And
so
that would be problematic.
Themselves.
Yeah. Or they will occasionally, like, maybe put it in text speak, something like that, just to sort of, you know, which is great if you're watching Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah.
Because, and I saw that, and I wasn't like, oh, well, what constitutes fast? What constitutes furious? Did I get 2 of each? I feel like, probably did.
Yeah.
Strings, on the other hand...
Well,
we'll find out. And then, you know, we watch some trailers. We talk a little bit about some news. It's a quiet time of the year. It's post the American summer.
Yep.
So we don't have all those big blockbusters coming out all the time. This was a catch-up movie this week.
It's the quiet period between summer blockbusters and Oscar bait.
Yeah, and there's those sort of November, December period things start to really pick up again. But it's a bit of a clearinghouse for films at the moment. Those sorts of things like... Miss Peregrine's School for Unusual Ex-Kids is coming out this month. Yeah. Which is one of those sort of films. You know, it's a Tim Burton, it's a genre film, it's based on a popular book, but at the same time, it's not going to go up in the summer against all those the big things.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the month, like, the Magnificent Seven remake's coming out, like... What's that going to fight up against? You know what I mean? Like, no one's
we got the Ben-Hur thing, that sort of stuff. So it's not that exciting. We're also going to review Secret Life of Pets.
Yes, which I saw last weekend.
And I ended up catching it, and so that we could talk about it. And I have some choice words to say about that as well. One of which is balls.
Well, there's lots of dogs, so they were throwing lots of balls.
They were balls.
And it was
It was something. News-wise, pretty quiet. we finally saw that SDCC little mini mockumentary made by Taika, who we've been talking about a lot on the show.
Yes, we love Taika.
We talked about Thor far too much last week. Team Taika, definitely. And we saw this mockumentary which tries to explain what Thor was doing during Civil War. Because if you saw Civil War, I know like there were a lot of colours, a lot of costumes, a lot of characters. But, you know, watch it again. Look, Thor's not there.
Hulk's not there either.
Hulk's not there either. Where were they? Well, now you know, according to this. He was, Thor was living in a house with, was it Daryl?
Share flat with Daryl.
Daryl, yeah. They were hanging out. He was hanging out at the office. He was making some theories and doing all...
Cooking some meat
on a windowsill, doing all sorts of wonderful stuff, drawing pictures of...
talking to kids at a school.
Yep. Yeah, wearing his costume, sort of running about. It's very simple. It's about 3.5 minutes, but it is a lot of fun. Do catch it if you haven't. It's funny, like, there's something about... I find Hemsworth obviously very likeable and very sort of easygoing. He has a very
kind of endearing, earnest quality to him when he's doing, like, any type of comedy, whether it's that kind of vacation sort of cringy stuff or this sort of more pure kind of stuff. There's just such an earnestness that you're just like, you know what, I'm going to go with this. Wherever you want to take me, I'll go.
It's funny, though, how without those films being like those costumes being photographed in that same way and those production values and everything, just how odd it kind of looks in that context.
Yeah, there were some photos that came out this morning of I say new costumes. The costumes don't look any fucking different for like Thor and Odin. Ooh, spoilers.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And Loki's costume as well. And it's funny, like, yeah, when they're in the film, they all look like really like, oh, wonderful material and everything. When they took this photo of Tom Hiddleston, just obviously, he was just having a selfie with someone in costume.
He's having a durry
and
outside the deli, because they are shooting in Australia.
No, he doesn't smoke. God, that's how gross. Yeah, it just looks a bit, like, cheap and plasticky, and I'm like, please don't ruin that illusion for me. Like, I want to think that it's lovely, lush textiles and not just, like, fucking pleather.
Yeah, because as Guns N' Roses taught us, you have to use your illusion, and I think films are very good at that. Yeah. So check that out if you haven't seen it. And oh god, when Ruffalo, because it's all so Taika sensibility and Australian Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Ruffalo feels 10 times more American than he really is, just by context.
Just sitting at like a little cafe, being like the American guy.
Suddenly talking like 4 times faster than everybody else. And you're like, what? You need subtitles, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even realise this had broken. I just saw this then, that I'd seen the headline that Deathstroke was confirmed for the Justice League. And if you don't know who Deathstroke is, he's a DC character. Deathstroke the Terminator. He wears a mask.
Like Slade Wilson?
He's Slade Wilson. So he's one of the 2 things that Rob Liefeld ripped off for Deadpool. So, which is Wade Wilson. So, and he's got a, like, mask and one half's black, one half's orange. He's got sword and guns, and so Deadpool, and pouches and things. So yeah, Deadpool's very much ripped off him, plus Spider-Man, really. It's sort of a accumulation of amalgamation of both of those things. But I didn't realise that there was actual footage of him. And Ben Affleck broke the news via Twitter and
in a pretty low-key way. Like, I do follow him on Twitter, and I sort of watched it and just went, oh, okay, has this already been announced? Because this just seems like a really casual way to announce or show something that seems quite big.
He shows some footage of Deathstroke, which is he's just shooting on his phone off the video monitor on the set.
Just watching dailies or whatever, and he's just recording it.
And there's no sound either, is there?
No.
And
it looks real good.
And then it sort of pans, and you see...
he's just sitting in like a I don't know.
Like, you know, there's a portable toilet and some wet wipes and a half-eaten hamburger and a mop bucket and some other stuff to the side.
Yeah, behind the scenes, he's not getting a lot of money put into it.
Yeah, but, well, that's good. I mean, the camera can only face one way at a time, unless it's one of those fancy 3D cameras for virtual reality, which I don't think this film's being shot in virtual reality yet. maybe that's something in the future that films will be. And cinemas will have seats, there'll be stools, and they'll swivel around.
Yeah.
And you'll have to, well, what's that noise behind? And you'll have to spin around and look behind. So, but that's future talk.
That's the future.
That's Justice League 2 or 3. This one's just the first one. And Deathstroke, you know, if you're watching this in the cinema, relax, he's going to be in front of you. Providing you stay facing toward the scene. Obviously, if you turn back to look at the projection booth or anything like that, he will be behind you at that point. But he can't hurt you, even if you watch this in 3D.
Then, you know, I guess here not so much, but in the UK, they're already so attuned to yelling out, "He's behind you!"
True.
So they'll be set in the UK, but here they'll probably will need to put little, like, a thing up before the movie, just saying, be sure to face the screen during the film.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because they do things like, oh, don't talk during the film, don't have your phone on, which, as we've reviewed the audience many times, people have a lot of trouble putting those concepts together.
Into practice,
You know, like, once they flash off the screen, they're like, oh...
What was that thing? What did that just say?
Did that tell us we should talk during the movie? Or to check our phones regularly? I'm not sure.
Like, IMDb every single person that comes on the screen?
You know what, speaking of such things...
Yes.
I know, like, trailers are a grey area. I feel like if people want to talk during ads, fine. I don't care about that. Trailers... I'm usually quite interested, even though we go to the movies a lot, so there's certain trailers we've seen a billion times. I kind of want people to shut up during the trailers.
I'm not going to turn around and give them a
I'm not either.
I'm not either.
Like, no, I'm not. But I thought, like, it encourages such bad behaviour, and it's been a recent thing with trailers, where there's a song playing in a trailer, and it's like, Shazam this now to get some, I don't know, like... packet of twisties or something.
Quick hand job.
Something like And it's like, I don't encourage people, don't create this culture where people are getting out their phones and Shazamming in the cinema. I don't think the cinema is a place to Shazam.
Yeah, and if you're asking, honestly, people to Shazam during the Trolls trailer, like, they've heard that song a couple of times.
So yeah, I didn't like that. And but couple of clear instructions. This is where the movie will be. The characters will appear here. That they will appear possibly larger than life at times. Don't be alarmed.
Yep.
They're not giants. They're not like unless
they
you watch
might be.
If you're watching BFG, that's got a child chewer in it.
Oh Jesus!
All sorts of stuff like that.
God.
But just don't assume that everybody knows these things because the world's constantly proving that people are dumber than you think they are.
Yes.
So, spell it all out. I think that's great. Other last bit of news I wanted to mention was Stranger Things, the Netflix original series, which is one of my favourite TV things this year. It was absolutely fantastic. I am offended to my core that you haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. I'll get around to it before the end of the year. I've already been spoiled for some stuff, so I'm like,
Well, why don't you get around to it before season 2? Because season 2 has been announced.
When is that happening then?
Well, probably next year. So it gives you a little bit of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Your Christmas holes.
I'll watch it before then, because we've got to do our end of year lists.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
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 I need to see the important things.
You've got to see the Stranger Things.
Yes. Man, if they're not stranger, then...
Stranger than the things we saw before.
Exactly.
I have a feeling they will be.
Okay.
Because
then I'm going to have to go to Consumer Affairs about this too.
Well, yeah. But they flash up what we assume is episode titles during the teaser for season 2.
It was just a whole lot of words that made note. I was just like, oh, okay.
One of them was called the Pollywog.
Okay.
That's a strange thing. Pollywog.
It's a bit like a polywaffle.
It's a bit like a polywhirl, a polywrath.
Yeah.
Polywag.
Polywag.
Yeah. Maybe there's a little bit of...
They're going Pokemon hunting.
Bootleg Pokemon monsters hiding in the bushes.
Digimons.
Digimons or Yu-Gi-Ohs. Or, and maybe even like
Yokai Watchers.
The odd Beyblade.
Oh, God. Never Beyblades.
Floating around. Why don't people sort out their problems with Beyblade battles anymore?
Probably health and safety reasons.
That's what I want to know. God, wear safety glasses and just do it. Just get out the Beyblades. I don't really know what a Beyblade
No,
is.
neither do I. I know that they had like an arena thing.
Are they the tops? I think they're like spinning tops.
Yeah, because I think they had like
a battle.
Yeah, big plastic arena thing that you could buy, and then just like I don't know, is it like Robot Wars but with tops?
I think so, and the tops spin around, and they're just just dazzling.
Yeah,
it's like
it's like MMA but tops. Yeah, amazing.
Yes.
Then MMA was invented, and now we don't need tops anymore.
No, but they're very popular. Yeah, they're like dreidels.
Yeah, in a way.
In a way, yeah. Eternal
dreidel wars.
Conflict. So, Stranger Things Season 2. Look out for that. Hopefully Winona will... Oh, I don't know, actually. I don't know if it'll continue the story or if it will be a whole new story in a sort of Scream Queens American Horror Story kind of way.
God, I love Scream Queens. How many weeks? It's like 2 or 3 weeks to Scream Queens?
No,
holy shit.
I've asked this before on the podcast. Scream Queens is a new story with the same actors or the same characters?
I don't know. I think it's a new story with the same characters, maybe. I don't really know. Like, a lot of the info about this has been... I've read contradictory things. There's been sketchiness.
No, keeping you guessing.
I don't really care. Like, honestly, if it's all those same people coming back, they can do whatever they want.
So sketchiness in the sense that it's going to be an animated series, do you think?
Probably not, but sure. Maybe there'll be animated elements.
Is Billy Lord going to be in it?
I don't know. She hasn't been specified, I guess, but I'm guessing everybody's coming
and
back.
Mae Whitman, guy, I love those two.
Yeah.
Love those two ladies.
They're fantastic. And what's her face? Emma Roberts. She's in like some like Nerve or something, some new movie.
Oh yeah, I saw the poster for that.
I completely forget her as being Emma Roberts anymore. I saw her on the trailer. I was like, oh my god, Scream Queens! I love Scream Queens. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. She does like other stuff too.
And you're excited, and you said Squee.
I did.
And I think, why not call the show Squee Queeze?
Squee Queens.
It's no Squee Queeze.
Squee Queeze.
Squee Queeze. I think we'll call it Squee Queeze.
Okay.
So Squee Queeze coming to a computer near you.
Yeah. As long as it's not Squee Queefs, because... Ugh.
Squee Queefs. There you go. There's your series. We watched a couple of trailers. Now, these are more sort of... I don't think these are things that are on people's radar, but that's why we're going to talk about them. Because it's just sometimes fun to watch something a bit unusual. Now, Christopher Guest, who did all those wonderful films like Waiting for Guffman and...
Best in Show?
Drop Dead Gorgeous, is doing another mockumentary. I think he sort of probably seemed like he took a bit of a break, didn't he? Because, I mean, they were coming out all the time. These sort of improv-y mockumentaries.
Things,
and then I just feel like he ran out of subjects. And he had to, like, just go and sit and think for a long time. And then he went, mascots, sports mascots, that's it. So he's back, and it looks like that's going to be a Netflix thing as well. Get yourself some Netflix if you haven't got your Netflix.
Yeah, it's they're definitely churning it out, and it's definitely hitting more than it's missing.
October 13th, it's got all the sorts of people you would expect from Christopher Guest, like, Parker Posey, indie darling. Parker Posey's going to be in there. Doing some, like, quite amusing dancing.
Yes.
Some newcomers, like old what's-his-face from the Sapphires, Chris O'Dowd.
Oh, yeah, Chris O'Dowd, yeah.
Yeah, he's playing the fist. His mascot's a big fist.
His bit made me laugh the most out of the whole trailer. And Jane, what's her name? Like, the coach from Glee.
Yes.
I can't remember her surname.
Her as well.
Yeah, she's in it.
She's going to be... Lynch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jane Lynch? Yeah, sure. She can be Jane Lynch now.
And, like, that old guy that was caught masturbating not that long ago, Fred someone, he's in it. He's the one that's behind the counter and says something to the person and the thing.
Okay.
Oh, no, he talks to the little guy. And he's like, did they shrink you down? That guy.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called, like, masturbating in a theatre or something, which I can't... Like, an adult theatre. Or maybe it was in his car. Something like that. It was... Anyway, it's basically like...
There was a masturbation story relating to that man.
It was like, get him the internet.
Oh, well, yeah.
It would just be like... It'd be like those fat kids walking into the chocolate factory for the first time in Willy Wonka. Rest in peace. You would just be like, holy shit, I don't have to do this in a car or in a cinema or in the street or on a bus.
There are personal mobile devices that you can make phone calls on and watch porn.
Yeah, at the same time. It's all your oyster. I know, like, porn's one of those difficult things, and I certainly think of myself as a feminist. Mm-hmm. But then I sort of think, well, we all know what Coke is, and that still advertises all the time. Isn't, like, porn just, like, a really aggressive campaign for penises and vaginas?
I guess.
Like, don't you need that constant reminder that, yeah, these things are pretty good, so that you don't get to that point where you pause and you sort of look at one and you think, that's a bit odd.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm into that thing. And they're like, no, look, it's really great. So you're getting
Look at all the things it can do.
Yeah, so you're getting that shiny...
often very shiny, to be honest.
Prepped for camera... all the gross bits edited out, kind of a bit of advertising, just to keep you kind of in the game.
Yeah, so my favourite one that I've watched that made me laugh so much is like the Avatar one.
Yeah.
Because like they'd obviously painted themselves all blue.
Yeah.
But obviously when you stick the dick in to the other bits, the paint all comes off.
Yeah.
And so they're wandering around all blue, but with normal skin coloured wang wangs.
Exact same problem happened in the Smurfs one.
Okay, I'll just take your word for it. I don't think I need to see a Smurfette gangbang.
And Hank Azaria returned to play Gargamel, which shows you how
well his career's going.
How tough times can be in these ages. So yeah, mascots, that looks like a bit of fun. October 13th, I'm sure I'll remind you about that because I definitely want to watch it. I had a bit of a chuckle at the trailer and it certainly made me laugh more than the trailers for a lot of other comedies that I've seen trailers for at the cinema lately. Like that friggin' Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Keeping Up with Joneses.
And what a piece of shit that was.
That looks terrible. And the... Was there a Kevin Hart one where he's doing a comedy show and just framing... There's a frame of him being an action hero around it?
Yeah, it's like his stand-up thing. I'm going to bring up Kevin Hart again when we talk about The Secret Life of Pets. Well, I don't understand how he is a thing. But you know what else I got to talk about today?
What?
I got to talk about Comedy Bang Bang. I saw Comedy Bang Bang live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That just sort of reminded me of something. I'm going to get to that. I'll do that after we do the movies. But and then the other trailers we saw were Shut In, which looks to be a pretty small budget by the look of it. Naomi Watts kind of thriller, where she's got a teenage son who's like...
He's been in a car accident and he's a vegetable.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. And she's like, he's not my son, he's just a body that I...
And she sort of fantasizes about
clothe
like,
and
drowning him.
Feed, and I was like, God, I wish I was just a body that Naomi Watts
washed
clothes and fed. Holy crap, let me sign up for this job. So, because that son's a little bit naff, it's like she gets a younger one that can walk and...
Yeah, like this other kid's like an orphan, and she's like, let me take the orphan.
Yeah, let me have that one then.
Yeah.
After, already track records. Not fantastic.
Yeah.
This new one is little bloody Jacob Tremblay from The Room.
Mm-hmm. Room.
Yeah. It's little Denny from The Room.
Little Denny, he's gone backwards in age.
And, and she loses him straight away.
Yeah, he runs out, dead.
Forgets to shut the door, Off he trots, presumes dead, but then suddenly all sorts of ghostly goings-on start occurring.
Yeah.
Is it the kid? Is he haunting? Did he not die? Is he little devil pixie imp thing? I don't know. No one knows. You have to watch the film if you want to find that out.
Yeah.
She's in the bath at one point. I really like Naomi Watts. She's one of my favourites of that generation, by which I mean my generation. And,
Women nearly invisible to Hollywood.
I think she's really great. And then when you saw the poster, it's like, no creepy kids or anything. It's Naomi Watts in the bath. It's like, well, call the film that. Except, remember there was that bloody Suicide Forest Japanese?
Yes, there's been about 3 of them this year.
Yeah, but the one with Natalie Dormer.
Yeah.
And the trailer's got her in the shower, and we talked about it, and I was like, well, no, that's Natalie Dormer in the shower. Great.
Yeah.
That scene's not in the film. I watched the film.
Oh, bait and switch.
The scene's not in there. So
Consumer protection.
yeah, exactly. Where were my 2 strings? That's what I want to know.
Had the protection ready to go, and
Didn't happen.
there was
so
nothing
yeah,
there.
you do have to be careful with these things. So Naomi Watts is in the bath on the poster. I don't know if she will be in the film. Maybe it's like, oh no, she's just bathing to prepare for the events of the film.
Yeah, maybe.
This is like a prequel poster.
Yeah.
A prelude.
A pre-bath.
A prologue. Yeah, pre-bath.
Yeah.
So that, you know, while you're watching and you think, oh, things are bad, but she must smell great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like roses all the time.
I don't think Naomi Watts is afraid of the old bath bomb.
No, I'm sure it's not. She probably has like an Instagram account, and she puts all her lush bath bombs on there when she gets in the bath.
And speaking of Australian actors who are getting on, then Nicole Kidman's in this last trailer we watched for Lion.
Yes. So this is like, I think it's a true story, they said.
Yeah, based on a true story.
So it's this little kid in India. He gets on a train and he stays on the train for a couple of days, sort of by accident, and gets really, really lost. Ends up in like an orphanage or something, presumably, and gets adopted by an Australian couple.
He ends up in Australia,
Yeah.
which that's a long train trip.
Is.
Not just that's more than a 3-zone ticket.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope that thing's watertight as well, because
There's a lot of water between
I feel
India
there
and
is,
Australia.
isn't it? I didn't want to say that in case my geography was wrong, but I have that feeling. I'm trying to picture the globe in my head, and I'm thinking there's a lot of blue in that area. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So he gets adopted by Nicole Kidman and David Wenham, which, look, I wouldn't be complaining about that either. But, so he's played by Dev Patel. The older, adult, grown-up version is Dev Patel. And, I mean, I guess the movie looks fine, whatever. The reason that I kind of enjoyed it is he does a fairly serviceable Australian accent.
I thought it was great.
We do pick on people for their accents, but the word that really got me is the way that he said home.
Yeah.
Like, he said home in just perfectly, and that can be a tricky word.
It makes you realise, in all the Pacific Rims and things like that, where someone who's not Australian tries to do the accent, just how put on, like how much they kind of overdo it, overplay it, and go into this weird Cockney pirate thing. But he just nails it.
Yeah, it's very, very natural. And there are little words and bits and pieces where he sounds a tiny bit British, but I get this is like a character who has grown up not with English as his first language, so if there are slips into other kind of, I guess, slight accents, then you can forgive in this character's instance, I think.
I thought he was very good. I've got a couple of comments here, a couple of observations. So Dev Patel, this is the guy from Life of Pi.
Yes.
Yeah, which I really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed him in that. Did
from
you ever see
Slumdog
that?
Millionaire and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it all the way through, no.
What was interesting was that in this trailer, the brothers yelling out each other's names all the time. Just yelling the names, like does it a billion times. You just play a drinking game, and I thought that's interesting.
It's like the longest game of Marco Polo in the world.
And covering the longest distance as well, because they're on different countries yelling. Well, why isn't he yelling back?
Yeah.
Because he's on the
Can't
other
hear
side
you,
of the
mate.
globe. He's down under, mate. But then I thought that's ironic because in Life of Pi he spent most of the time going Richard Parker, and just like yelling at the tiger.
Yeah.
So typecast, a little bit. And there's a bit apart from yelling the names. There's this little bit where they exchange a couple of words in Indian, and I thought this is interesting. I've never seen this before. There's subtitles. But the subtitles are fucking huge. They take up half the... I thought they were the titles for Mad Max Fury Road. Which just goes to show
it's just
you...
in the trailer. It's probably different.
It shows you how, how dumbed down. People will need to be told which way to face when they sit in the cinema. Because it's like, I can't read...
Tiny words down the bottom of the screen.
Writing down the bottom? No, I won't read that. I would think it's a bunch of albino caterpillars crawling across the bottom of the screen. Yeah. Whack big, Mad Max Fury Road, I'll be back, brother, stuff all over the screen. So, thought that was interesting. And Nicole Kidman playing a very motherly role there.
That wig is not a flattering wig.
No, she looked like an 80s Neighbours character,
yes,
and not one of the hot ones, not like a, you know, like a
Madge.
Madge. Still, I'd go the Madge Fadge.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so there you go. Lion,
Lion,
not lion, like, oh, we lying about that whole thing, like Aslan.
like rawr.
I'm a lion, and I don't know how that fits into the story. I guess he gets eaten by a lion, fights a lion, ends up on a boat with a lion. It's a sequel to Life of Pi.
Yeah, there you go.
That was a tiger, now it's a lion. Typecast again is all I'm saying. Dev Patel, more like Devo Patel.
Oh, poor Dev. I like Dev Patel. I think he's very good.
Devo, mate. It's not as Australian as Spin Out, coming to theatres near you very soon.
Oh God, can't wait for Spin Out.
Oh, you spinning out about Spin Out? Are you freaking out?
I am so good. It's gonna be amazing. There's gonna be bachelors and spinsters at that ball.
I can't imagine what kind of crowd goes to see Spin Out.
I imagine no one.
Probably
Not a crowd.
Yeah,
that's probably what's gonna happen.
They should just take it out bush and project it on a water tank, mate.
They should do.
Fuck, on Madge's sheets. All right, so we saw Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yeah.
Like, it's stop motion animation. So people that gave us Coraline, Paranorman, Box Trolls. Painstaking stop motion animation. It's like a Japanese sort of folktale. About a kid whose grandfather is the moon, who stole one of his eyes, and now this kid's got special powers and he plays a little guitar-y thing, and origami comes to life, although that's really more of a kind of storytelling mechanism than a battle power.
Yeah.
And then he teams up with a monkey and a
beetle guy.
and a cursed samurai, his beetle, and it goes on a fetch quest, essentially. You've got to find these three things, and stuff happens. And this was a film I was quite excited about initially when seeing the first trailers, because it is absolutely stunning, and some of the design is amazing. Like his mother's sisters, who are antagonists in this thing, are really wonderful. And then I was put off, and I talked about this before, about the just Americanization of it. That you've got this thing that was sold to me originally as looking like a very traditional, beautiful Japanese story. And then suddenly everybody's got very contemporary American accents. And as I was saying when I bitched about this the last time, I don't see why we should accept that as the norm. I know it's not just the movie makers, it's the audience as well. It's about what we're willing to accept, and obviously they don't think they'll make the money unless they have Charlize Theron playing a monkey, but...
Like, 10-year-olds don't give a shit about that Charlize Theron.
Yeah, I just think that the voices, they don't have any gravitas. It makes it feel like, when she first is talking, it's like she's in a completely different movie to what we're seeing visually.
And it does, like, the whole, I guess, intro bit is, there's no real dialogue, so when you do kind of start having those characters with the dialogue, and the first character is a very, very contemporary sounding sort of voice, it's so jarring at first.
And if you're an American and you're thinking, oh no, it seems fine to me, it's like, well, what if it was a Japanese story where everyone had Australian accents or French accents, or it doesn't make sense. So I really hope, that's my biggest criticism of the film, I really hope that there is a, sometimes on the Blu-rays and stuff you have different language versions. Like, the Muppets are like that. You can, watch the Muppets with Italian dub.
Okay.
So I would love to see, a Japanese version of it with subtitles and just be able to see if that makes a difference. I think it will still be kind of difficult because even the mannerisms get quite contemporary, and that's kind of a shame that it sort of veers into the mainstream, because it's not a mainstream movie. It doesn't have a mainstream title. I can't imagine it's not going to be a Secret Life of Pets success. So if you're going to start taking risks, and I think fucking stop motion animation in this day and age is really a risk, because it's beautiful stuff, but when they show you a little bit of how they build a scene during the credits, and you just think...
Just take fucking forever.
What a huge amount of work. Yeah, when you think they're 3D puppets and we can have digital 3D puppets that look pretty much the same because we can mimic all these textures.
And they're having to digitally put all the backgrounds and stuff in anyway.
Yeah, so there is still that component. Well, I don't know what they did with this one, but I feel like Box Trolls, I was looking at reading an article or something about it, or the making of, and they actually model it all in 3D anyway, pose all the expressions and everything in 3D, but then laser print them all, or like 3D print them all. And so, each character, every time the face changes, even slightly, it's a different faceplate.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So then they 3D print out all these faceplates, paint them, some of which are only used for 1 or 2 shots, and just stick them on the puppet. And you think, well, if you've already modelled it and posed it and everything, I mean, look, it's gorgeous, and there is a certain feeling and texture, but then the texture's even kind of odd. Like you can feel that weird 3D printing kind of thing, as opposed to some of those old things which felt like wood or dolls or clay or anything like that. So I don't know. It's beautiful, and the closing credits as well has a 2D animation, which sort of goes, for me, it's like, here's what the movie would have looked like if it came out in 1992.
Disney, yeah.
And you go, wow, I'm glad it didn't, because it's so much richer. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed it. We did actually see this movie fairly early in the morning, so we were both pretty tired going into this one. And, it felt like it took a little while to get going.
Agreed.
I was enjoying that very, very first part, because I felt that summed up, the character and what was going on in about a minute. And I was like, oh, fuck yes, this is a tight ship we're jumping onto here. But then it kind of sort of meandered a little bit, and then by the time we kind of got going, it was like, okay, we're sort of not rushing towards the end, but it's like, okay, so why am I really caring about these characters? Do we really care about this journey they're going on? And I think all the dressing was really nice. Like you said, the sisters, there's a couple of battles in there that are very, very, very well done. Really, really interesting kind of villains or combatants that they're going up against. And ultimately, I thought it was a satisfying enough story. I probably wouldn't say it was for little kids. There was a couple of things in there that I'm pretty sure I would have been a bit freaked out by if I was very, very young watching it.
And I just don't think it has that pace. I think, especially when you compare it to something like Secret Life of Pets, which is so much more accessible. I think it's, as a film, is infinitely worse. But those kind of films have a pace for little... There's something happening every second.
Yeah.
And Kubo certainly doesn't have that. No. So, I spent quite a while, like you, at the beginning thinking, I just don't know if this is going to do it for me. And then when it works, it really works. There were times where it really sort of jolted me in. And the ambition of it, and also the craft behind it, and the fact that ultimately it is a pretty satisfying story, I give it a pass. I'm not saying this is one you should rush out and see by any means. I think if you're interested in animation fan, then you should certainly check it out at some point in your life. But I would say 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah,
would be my where I'm going to place it on Letterboxd.
Yeah. I think if something like Finding Dory hadn't come out, people would be, I guess, congratulating this a bit more for its depiction of, disabled characters and all of that kind of thing. With the mother, I wasn't sure. I thought it was meant to be like an allegory for, like, she had depression, but then I was thinking, is it maybe like an Alzheimer's-y kind of thing? But then it turned out to be something completely different, specifically related to her situation. But
there's a lot that isn't explained, really. There's a lot of stuff that looks nice, but you kind of go, well, but why?
Yeah. There definitely was a lot of that.
Why live in this cave?
Yeah, pretty much. Can you live in a house? Yeah. You've
got a pretty good skill that I feel will make you enough money to live in the house. And you're very well liked.
Yeah.
I think people will let you stay somewhere. So, it's a little bit dodge in that respect. But, I think that's its biggest problem for me. Yeah, I like this, where we talk about... Because we started talking about this recently. Like, what's the big problem? What's the core problem? And the other problems are spin-offs of that. And I think the American voice acting is probably a spin-off of the core problem, which is it's trapped between trying to be something kind of accessible to contemporary audiences, which it expresses through the American accents and some of the more contemporary dialogue. But it's also trapped between wanting to be a very conventional, like traditional, beautiful tale. So it really spreads itself too thinly between those two things and never embraces either of them in a satisfying way for me. Because something like, have you seen Paranorman?
Is that's the one with the little dog?
It's the one with the dead, no, one of the dead, the kid that can see the dead people and all the zombies and stuff.
No, maybe not then.
Yeah, because that actually has a kind of sense of humour and kind of, a little bit of edge to it where you're almost getting the humour into a sort of Simpsons-y realm. Mm-hmm. And so it is fast and contemporary and smarter and funnier than you would think. But they can't... So I think they have those capabilities, but they can't do that with this because they're trapped in the trappings of the story. But at the same time, by edging around that, you sell short. So I think it's a film that's very conflicted about what it wants to be. But ultimately, God, they make beautiful things, but then there's a point where you go, someone could build a giant wall out of milk cartons and go, look at this, and you go, well, yeah, that's great, but
what are you going to do with it?
No one really asked you to, I appreciate that you did it, but no one was really hankering for you to do it, so it took some effort on your part. But,
Donald Trump's going to trundle his little cart of milk cartons and
he might have to do that.
Back to the US.
He might have to do that. He might have to do a milk carton job. So, while we're talking about animation, perfect to just segue straight into Secret Life of Pets, which... you go.
Yeah, so I saw this at a preview last weekend with a cinema full of very, very young children. So that was a fun experience. So Secret Life of Pets, it's been out for ages in the US. We're getting it really, really late here. It's a movie about what pets get up to when their owners aren't home. But
it's not really about that.
Not really, no. It's more or less like Toy Story, but with dogs.
Yes.
Yeah, so Max the Jack Russell is like Woody, and then Duke the mongrel mutt dog turns up, and he's basically Buzz, and then they don't really like each other, and Woody kind of wants to get rid of Buzz. And that's pretty much it, and they kind of go on some kind of adventure. And that's it.
Kevin Hart is a rabbit.
Is a crazy rabbit who doesn't like humans.
Because his nerves is bad.
His nerves is bad, yeah. The movie goes for an hour and a half. It's quite short. It does go along at a fairly cracking pace, and the kids in the cinema with me really enjoyed it. There were a lot of laughs, and our group went with a couple of kids, and they were talking about it afterwards, and they were quite thrilled with it. But I guess as an adult watching it, you can see the seams, and there are lots of seams.
Yeah, it's not for me.
Yeah, and I told you that. I saw it and I said, Luke, I enjoyed this movie.
No, and I had an opportunity to see it and I thought, oh, fuck it. We'll be able to talk about it. But
yeah, and I said, you will not like this movie.
No, and I didn't. But it is inoffensive. But it's so bland and mainstream and calculated that it reminds me of, the Garfield strip. That idea that Jim Davis went, people like cats, I'm going to do this thing that is so bland, relatable, accessible, inoffensive, just, everyone from a kid to a grandma can go, oh, cats. And I'll merchandise the shit out of it and I'll make a lot of money. And he did. And that's what this film is. There's nothing remotely interesting about it. It's very, formulaic by the book. You can see everything that's happening. The one-liners are really flat. There's a lot of dog people, am I right? Cat people, am I right? Kind of stuff. Hey, pets, right? Oh, look, all the characters are going to do exactly what you think they're going to do when you look at them. It's got horrible music. It feels really dated already. Like, just even the vibe, that song about New York at the beginning, and this, like, really clean, pretty, colourful New York, and you just, like, and then all the, like the preview we saw today, where...
It was literally the whole movie.
Yeah, and then it flashes up 3 of the voice actors, and it's the 3 men, two white men at the front, and then Kevin Hart. None of the women, and there are quite a few female characters are mentioned, and it's just like, I feel like, I know that's par for the course, but I feel like maybe we're ready to evolve and go another step forward, and that kind of thing of even, like, really, there's no spectacular voice work going on in this thing. Does it need to be Louis C.K.? Does it need to,
Yeah, I didn't even know it was Louis C.K. And I mean, to be honest,
I thought it was Jason Sudeikis.
Most of the people who would be taking their kids to see this, they're not going to give a shit about Louis C.K. anyway.
Yeah.
They might see Eric Stone Street and go, oh, that's the funny gay guy from Modern Family. I like that guy.
Yeah.
And that's about it. But, yeah.
So, I don't understand all the celebrity casting in these films.
And I
understand it from a business perspective, obviously, but sort of artistically, I just don't get it at all. Like, I think it adds nothing and actually flattens it out in a kind of way where nothing stood out. The lines are awful. There's some really horrible dialogue in this thing.
Actually, speaking of celebrity stuff, that George Takei was in Kubo and the Two Strings.
Oh, yeah, which is the most fucking...
He's like a background character, and the only reason I realised it was him is because the character goes, oh my, at one point, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's some other film that's coming up, which is what?
Trolls is full of people.
No, but what's the one with Jackie Chan doing a voice? And it's another thing where it's like... It's a story that's you would think would be predominantly sort of Asian, but then they throw in like one Asian name that you're going to recognise, and then all the rest is like white guys again. Yeah, just not even like billing the women and stuff. I just don't get, like, why are we still telling the same stories like again and again and again? And that's problematic to me because there are other people doing really great stuff. Like, I mean, I feel like 10, 15 years ago, Disney were, or, even 20 years ago, what Disney was doing is kind of what people are doing now. Whereas Disney's actually, you wouldn't think that Disney would be the progressive front runner. Like, in the past, you would never assume that they were going to be the ones that were churning out some of the best stuff, but they really are. I mean, Zootopia, in terms of what that does and what it's about, and the scope and scale of it, and how it has a sort of multi-layered story, and even things, and Inside Out, and even things that people, weren't big hits that people didn't see, like Monsters University has a message in it that is so much better than... they get expelled from that. And and you think it's that third act sort of thing of, oh, but then it's all going to come together and they're going to get to go back to university. They don't. They have to leave because they do the wrong thing, and they realise not everyone's path... Like, they had these big dreams, but we're not going to do it this way. We're going to have to go in and start at the very bottom. And they do. They start in the mailroom because they couldn't get the... And, like, I think that's fantastic. Like, some of those messages and, like, well, that idea of, Inside Out, which you think is about that pursuit of happiness, and everything's about how important it is to be happy, and then you realize no, it's not. It's actually saying the opposite, that that's not what life is necessarily about.
Well, I think obviously Disney is at the moment, and even previously, is much more focused on storytelling, where DreamWorks is making movies to sell toys, really. Like, even when was it Home is DreamWorks, wasn't it? That little thing, like that, the stores were full of toys for that movie. I don't know anyone who actually saw it.
Yeah, but that I don't know, because I think that I don't think they would have been massive like hit sellers. Whereas certainly Disney's no slouch with merchandising. They would be making far more through their films and stuff, and their parks and everything. But I think they're definitely making Secret Life of Pets, stuff like that. There's definitely, licenses to print money. I mean, they're making films that are so accessible and it's just so, like, people aren't bright. Or maybe it's not even just that. Maybe it's more that they just don't give as much of a shit.
Maybe. I mean, like,
that's probably more what it is, to be fair.
Yeah, mostly. Like, most people, like, that I've seen on Facebook, like, friends with kids and stuff, like, everyone has seen this movie. Like, it's been out for previews for one weekend, and everyone has seen this goddamn thing. And, you know, it's going to get, you know, I guess, pretty good word of mouth. Everyone said, the kids loved it. It's not offensive. Adults can get through it. It's only an hour and a half. Like, there is worse shit that you could take your kids to.
And you get it. The Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah.
It's in the title. You go, it's got a cute dog. It's about dogs. It's about a cat. School holidays. That's what you want to see? Let's go.
Yeah.
Done. Well, you're not going, what the fuck's a Kubo? What are the strings?
Yeah.
I've seen the film. I'm still concerned about some of the strings. So, yeah, I totally understand that. I get that. And as a parent or whatever, one, you're going to go for whatever the kids are interested in. You know, because even though I'm saying some of these things are, I'm being, like, snobby as an adult film goer about this stuff, do not get me wrong. I mean, I don't have children. I've got sisters that are 14, 16 years younger than me, and certainly took them to stuff and watched stuff with them on DVD. I would never be that parent that if a kid's like, I'm going to see Secret Life of Pets, I'm not going to go, no, that's crap.
Yeah.
I will be there for whatever they want to see. That's not an issue for me. So, you know, if you've got kids or whatever, that's fine. I just think it's just so unambitious is really the problem, which there's, you know, worse crimes out there. Like I said, it's not stupidly offensive or anything like that. It's just so bland compared to... It's funny, actually, because there's a sequence in there which is not dissimilar to a sequence in Finding Dory of animals driving cars and bridges and water and all that sort of stuff. And it's just amazing how little impact that has in one of the films and how much impact it has in the other one, you know, and it just shows you that sort of different... That vast gulf in quality and direction and
though my favourite sequence in Secret Life of Pets was the sausage fantasy sequence.
Yeah.
That it returned my good feelings towards sausages in the wake of Sausage Party.
America is a sausage fantasy sequence. I just want to talk a little bit then about I gave it, like, for me, 1.5. But, you know, for your kids or whatever, look, who cares?
Yeah, I think I gave it 2.5.
Let them do what they want. I saw Comedy Bang Bang live on Monday. It was a last-minute thing. Wasn't going to be seeing it, but Suzanne managed to get tickets, which was a wonderful surprise. And, it was Scott Aukerman, Lauren Lapkus, Paul F. Tompkins, and Mike Hanford. And very much like an episode of the podcast, very strange to see it live. It was at the Astor. And when Scott finally came out, I did have this, like, real sort of sudden joy. Like, oh, I love this man. And it was just so, just to see him in person and have him there, it was just like, oh, this is so great. Same with Paul F. Tompkins. So... it's weird as well because it's one of those shows that really relies on that sort of theatre of the mind because, you know, Mike Hanford's being John Lennon, and when you're listening to John Lennon and you're imagining John Lennon. And, of course, on stage, they don't wear costumes or anything like that. He just comes out and suddenly he's being John Lennon. And it was interesting to see how much they laugh and react to each other and give each other looks that you don't pick up on the podcast, like how... how much they have to work together in that respect. And we didn't know which characters we would be getting. I had said beforehand I really wanted Paul F. Tompkins being Santa and Lauren being Ho-Ho the Naughty Elf. And that's exactly what we got, which was very, very cool. But what I thought was interesting is, you know, that it's so great that they came to Perth. Mike Hanford does the little warm-up with the audience. And... it's so funny to think of just how pronounced those cultural differences are that you wouldn't think they would be with two Western countries. And just the kind of cultural assumptions that are being made. Like in his opening sort of warm-up set, he's talking about why this theatre's really famous and about all the history things that have happened around it, which are all nonsense things. But the people he references are like Arsenio Hall, Wilfred Brimley, Ryan Seacrest. And I'm just thinking, like, fucking know the room. Like, what a strange thing for this American to be there sort of saying these names as if, oh, of course they must be a thing for you guys. Of course you might. Like, do you even know who all those people are?
I know who Ryan Seacrest is.
Yeah, so, yeah, which is... I've heard
American Idol guy.
More jokes about him than actually seeing content of him because I don't watch that show. But, yeah, that's probably the most mainstream. Wilfred Brimley... I only know he's dead now. Old Walrus-looking dude. He was the human, old, creepy glasses guy, grumpy guy that lived in the hut in the second Ewok movie.
Oh, okay.
He didn't like the Ewoks and children, but he lived with Teak, who was like more fucking annoying than the other two put together, and run around in fast motion like fucking Benny Hill skid. So yeah, and apparently I've heard references to him being on ads about diabetes and stuff like that. But yeah, so that guy, obviously really important to us all. And Arsenio Hall had a black comedian dude, had a talk show, long-running talk show in the 80s or something. I don't think we ever had it here. And I only really know him because I saw him on Celebrity Apprentice, which shows you how well his career is going. And there's a bit where he does a song and he gets this girl up from the audience and he says, what's your name? And she says, Aaron. And he's like, Aaron? And he's just like, Aaron. And he's like, yeah, I've never heard that name before. And I'm like, you're with a straight face acting like Arsenio is a thing. Yeah. And you haven't heard Aaron. So, and even like...
He's like, you mean Aaron? It's like, no, Aaron.
Even... Scott with some of the Australia, they didn't do, they weren't good day mating or doing any of really cringeworthy stuff, which is what I was worried about. Going in, I thought that's going to stop me from enjoying it. But it's funny, they talked about some old movie and went, oh, you guys won't get it here for another 6 months. And it was just like, how many of them, Secret Life we didn't get for 6 months, but how many fucking movies do we get before them?
We had the first Avengers movie a month before everyone else.
Yeah, we get a lot of stuff early. So times are changing in America and they don't realise times are changing.
Yeah.
They don't realise that they're not the front runners for a lot of things anymore. That things have changed. But look, I say that, but come November, Donald Trump will be your president and everything will be great again.
Glorious leader.
Yeah,
Glorious
look forward to that. Yeah. So... happy end times. But yeah, the show was really funny. It was really great. There's something about it where you kind of go, people are paying a fair amount, and it is 5 stools, and they don't really structure it. It's not a show that sort of builds and climaxes or has here's this segment to refresh you or whatever. It really is just an improv conversation, like what you and I are doing now for an hour and 20 minutes or whatever, hour and a half, and then you're like, okay, well, I do get to listen to this every week, sometimes twice a week for free. But so cool to see those people. I think it is very exciting to see people in real life and with their words coming out of their mouths when you predominantly listen to them. And that just makes me feel so good about what a thrill I must give to so many people around me when they see me in person. And see this, that they hear these rich, chocolatey, rum and raisiny sort of tones coming out of my mouth, and then suddenly they get to see that in person, and there I am in the glorious flesh in front of them. They probably get that same little squeak queefs that I got when I saw Scotty Ox. All right. Well, look, you know what? I think that's the show. I think we've done it. Thank you again, everybody, for listening. Really appreciate it. This is the only weekly podcast at the moment because Book Was Better is still on a little hiatus while I work on my graphic novel project and get into that. That is called Fabric. I did post the first chapter, which is the first 12 pages, on our Facebook group. So if you want to make sure that I'm actually keeping on top of things and doing work, then go and check that out. Thank you all who responded and read that and for the kind words. That was really encouraging. I will post the next chapter when I finished it. But if you want to find links to all that, go to fruitlesspursuits.com. You'll find links to all our podcasts, plus our Facebook discussion group and our Facebook page, iTunes, where you can rate and review. Thank you to David, who also reviewed us. We got a review on FPcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that was really wonderful. Thank you. We do appreciate that. That helps things a lot. And, of course, thanks to all our Patreon subscribers. You guys, the
A-Team. Gold Star A-Team.
Bomb Diggity.
Bomb Diggity, no doubt.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we've got coming up next week. I hope it's not Spin Out.
I hope it's not Spin Out.
I don't know what we've got in the dog. Do you want to just let's have a look.
Okay, let's all right.
We've got it right here. Let's have a look. We're live.
We've got this thing. We're seeing Pete's Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to the preview of Pete's Dragon.
Yeah, cool.
Which opens on the 15th, but we will be reviewing it for Monday, I believe.
Yes.
So, which has been getting very good reviews. So.
Yes, so that's exciting. So yeah, Pete's Dragon, I have delved back into the world of Azeroth, so I'll have a bit of a chat about World of Warcraft Legion next week. Awesome.
I'm not doing it, but I want to.
Yeah, it's fine. Like it's Warcraft. You know what I mean? Like it's there's nothing huge that I've really got to yet, but I'm the slowest leveler known to man. Like even the last expansions, you would have hit cap, and I'm like, I'm just gonna keep playing for another month and a half because I'm so goddamn slow.
I'm a fast leveler. I like to level. Hey, look at this.
I like to go and wander and look at things.
We're going to do our Doctor Strange review on the 31st of October, and America doesn't get it until November. Who's laughing now? Scotty Ockerman. Fuck yeah. So, yeah. So, there's stuff coming up. Magnificent Seven, Miss Peregrine's, The House for a Special...
X-Men babies.
Baby buggers.
Yeah.
So all sorts of stuff.
Bit of a gap after that, but we'll fill that with something.
Gap filler.
Spack filler.
We will find something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, you guys. Love you, Zay.
See you later, guys.
It's been out.